So let's speak about how do we, in these crazy, crazy times, boost our mood and our immune system and be resilient. I'm very aware that the word resilient is overused. Clearly, it is the name of my business, Resilient People. So I am really on a mission to enable and to help people to really take resilience and personalize it. So in what way can you boost your mood and your immune system in order to be resilient? My strategies are very practical, so what we chat about today, we'll be able to put into action. And as I said earlier, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. We're going to chat for half an hour. I will speak to you about the 5 techniques that I want to share. And they're very simple. My philosophy is simplicity at the far side of complexity. So I do have a friend of mine here. And this is my friend. If you can see, Kezy, can you see the video? And on the video. So
I see your friend.
You see my friend, okay? Yes, my friend's trying to kiss me right now, which is always a good thing. Even in COVID times, you can kiss friends that you know well. So this friend here is the brain. And whatever I speak to you about today has got deep neuroscience research behind it. So there may be very simple tips, and they should be simple so that you can integrate them into your life from this afternoon. But they should also have really deep research behind it so that whatever you do leads to sustainable behavior change. So whatever I speak about will have brain science behind it. I'm a frustrated neuroscientist. I'm just fascinated with the brain. I'm 53 years old, and I still think to myself, gee, when I was 33 years old, studying the brain, studying behavior change and psychology, we didn't know then that you can grow new neurons in your brain. So that was just 20 years ago. We didn't know that you could grow new neurons. And now we do. So literally daily, we see new research coming out. This is my favorite book of the month. It's called Brainwash. It is by 2 doctors, and their names are Dr. Permotta, and he's the father, and then Dr. Austin Permotta, he's the son. So father and son combo. And it's really the latest neuroscience of what we can do for our immune system and also obviously our mood. So we are going to speak about this, but I'm going to make this interactive even though I cannot see you. So what I would like you to do wherever you are is to lift up your left hand. So the 5 tips I'm going to give you can all be related to your left hand. Why am I doing this? Because I am passionate that you will use all 5 tips post today. So if I give you your hand as the metaphor for boosting your mood and your immune system, and I anchor each of the tips I give you to your 4 fingers and your thumb, guess what? You're going to remember it. Guess what? You're going to do it. And guess what? I'm a mother of a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old. And what I do know, even though my daughters are young women, is that they are easily bribed. And I love the fact that I just am honest about that with them. And they say, but Mum, you don't bribe us. And yet I do bribe them. So I'm going to bribe you, and I'm going to be honest about that too. I'm going to tell you that with this left hand and the 5 tips I'm going to give you, and of course there are multiple tips in each of these, is that if you send me an email, post this with what you're going to specifically do to personalize boosting your immune system, your mood, and hence your resilience, I will send you 2 gifts. The one gift is my ebook, which is all about experience, resilience, and fight fatigue. And the second is a link to a high performance mentality challenge. So listen up. Perhaps if you are going to take good notes, you may want to write boost down the left-hand side of your margin. So BOOST, as you see on the screen. And we are going to look at those 5 areas of boosting your immune system and your mood. So your hand is the mnemonic. You'll never forget this. And then, of course, you're going to take notes and you're going to email me to tell me what you are choosing to do differently. So no action, no change. Let's look at how we're going to action. Let's start off with bed. So the B in boost is really incredibly important. Why did I decide to link it to your pinky finger? Is because this should be your pinky promise to yourself. This is the Swiss Army knife of mood, immunity, health, and resilience. If you are not sleeping between 7 and 9 hours consistently, 7 days a week, you will not manage your mood, you will not manage your health. So the science behind this is absolutely robust. I was really fortunate to just start being interested in sleep 3.5 years ago when I was invited to Washington, D.C. to speak on stage with Arianna Huffington. So as many of you know, she had Huffington Post and she was not sleeping. And as Kezy introduced me, she spoke about the fact that I deal with people who are time poor, stress rich, and decision fatigue. And Arianna was all of those three things. And she fell asleep at her desk one morning, hit her cheekbone on her glass desk, and broke open her face. So she sold Huffington Post and she started Thrive. And just fortuitously, because I run a business called Resilient People, I was invited to this conference in Washington, D.C. So I thought, if I'm going to be on stage speaking with Arianna Huffington, I better read her book, Sleep Revolution. So I started reading that book and I was fascinated by the science behind all of this. So that really got me intrigued initially around the fact that actually I worked long hours. I still read leadership books at night when I went to sleep. I didn't have a particular rhythm for my sleep. I always got up early because I do like to exercise in the morning. But I really, I was trying to do everything I could to minimize my sleep. I bought in the early days, actually, this is probably dating me now, but I bought little cassettes, gee whiskers, about 20 years ago to think, how can I sleep 5 hours a night or 4 hours a night, maximize my brain, maximize my hypothalamus, and I could really learn more, remember more, and sleep less. So I was in the era of working in the 80s where, you know, a little bit of sleep was a badge of honor and, you know, people were proud of working till midnight, etc. Until I really started reading the science behind sleep. So Arianna Huffington's book, The Sleep Revolution, is good. Matthew Walker, the professor, his book, Why We Sleep, is better. So I'm going to speak a little bit about that. But just to say to you, initially, if you do not have a circadian rhythm around your sleep, where you are sleeping minimum 7 hours a night, you are going to hamper your health. And our habits today, 2nd of July, inform our biology tomorrow. And that tomorrow for you could be the end of July. It could be 2021. It could be 2029. You really need to take cognizance of what you are doing in your brain at night. There are 4 stages of sleep. Stage 3 and stage 4 is deep sleep. Your brain is incredibly busy at night. So stage 3 and stage 4, what is happening is that all the toxins that build up during the day are being flushed out of your brain, a little bit like a sewage system. So I said to you that we can build new neurons and grow new neurons. We can grow 700 a day. That is only if you sleep 7 hours a night, if you eat fresh food and veggies, and if you exercise. So growing 700 neurons a day is fantastic. However, if you don't have the synapses which connect the neurons, it's just a waste of time because the neurons are not talking to each other. So that's the first thing, is you need the synapses to connect. The second thing is during the day, plaque builds up between these neurons. So as we get plaque in our teeth, we get plaque between neurons. The name for that toxin and that plaque is called beta amyloid. And that just builds up. So we know categorically now that if you don't have a regular circadian rhythm of going to sleep at the same time every night, sleeping for 7 hours minimum, you will build up this plaque that won't flush out your brain. So hence the inextricable link to dementia and Alzheimer's. So your habits today inform your biology tomorrow. So you're well on the way to dementia and Alzheimer's if you're not clocking up 7 hours a night. So that is a non-negotiable, 7 hours a night. There's a bell curve. So some of us need 7.25, 7.5, 8 hours, or maximum 9 hours a night. So please think through and start to understand your body. In terms of your REM sleep, your rapid eye movement, this is what happens. You've gone through stage 3 and 4. You then circle up to a rapid eye movement, REM sleep, and that actually hardwires your learnings from the day. And then you cycle down again. So I am putting sleep at the forefront of my health, and especially during pandemic times. So like all countries around the world, in South Africa, we are terrified. I heard a stat from one of the banks yesterday, from a Harvard professor speaking at the bank, that we will clock up 1 million COVID cases by the beginning of August in South Africa. So wherever we go, you're going to get it. And I am happy to get COVID as long as my resilience, my immunity is strong, because I know I will get it. So I am determined to sleep 7 to 8 hours a night, and I go to sleep at the same time every night, and I wake up at the same time every morning. So if you're not doing that, you are not doing the pinky promise to yourself. It's a non-negotiable. So quantity of sleep is the first part of the story. Quality of sleep is the second part of the story. And on my website, if you go there, you'll see that I sell these red glasses. And I do not look very sexy walking around my house at night, but I do this for 90 minutes before I go to sleep. Why? Because blue light coming out of the lights out of your ceiling, your computer, your TV, or your mobile affect your pineal gland in your brain. What happens to that pineal gland if it's affected by blue light is it does not produce enough melatonin. Melatonin gets you to that stage 3 or stage 4 sleep. That's that really deep sleep. So I can tell you hand on heart that it can be in summertime a major thunderstorm above our roof, literally where my family think the roof is going to cave in. And if I'm in stage 3 or stage 4 sleep, I do not hear it. We wake up in the morning, and as a family, we gather around the kitchen table and have our morning coffee together, and we laugh and chat about the day. And everyone says, Mom, you must take drugs, because we were awake at 2 a.m. and we could not get back to sleep. And no, I don't take drugs. My body, my ecosystem produces enough melatonin for me to get into deep, deep, slow wave sleep, where I flush out the beta amyloid toxin and I get that restful sleep. So I'll wake up without an alarm. And I wake up between 4:30 and 5:15 every day of the week, 7 days of the week. And I'm very happy with that. Why? Because I wake up naturally refreshed, ready to go. I run 10 kilometers, I meditate in the morning, and I've done quite a bit of work. So it's a really wonderful way when your body is energized by sleep. And that's because I honor it. So your pinky promise to yourself could be, I'm going to make sure that I get minimum 7 hours sleep a night. If the little sidebar that I've got there, if you sleep less than 6 hours a night, you are 4 times more likely to catch a common cold. This is robust research from Harvard, where they took 2 cohorts of people who were sleeping 7 hours, people who were sleeping less than 7 hours, and they brought them in. Of course, they did not tell them what they were doing, but they all got this nasal spray and weren't told what that was about either. But categorically, people who got the common cold virus sprayed, all of them got sprayed into their nose. People who were sleeping less than 7 hours were 4 times more likely to get that cold. So I know that our bodies are designed to get rid of viruses, to really sort out this ecosystem, but sleep is your priority. That's 7 hours. And then perhaps switching off your TV, switching off your laptop, switching off your mobile phone 1 hour before you go to bed. So that's your hour's digital detox. Otherwise, make sure that you go red before bed, and that too will help. If you feel like you do need to watch TV or you do need to work, this is my best friend, 1 hour before sleep. Then lastly, on this topic of bed and pinky promise, is have good sleep hygiene. So I have a set of rituals I do at the end of the day. And I now no longer read my leadership books. I read a novel. I have a bath with Epsom salts and lavender. We know that lavender really calms down our whole system. I drink some chamomile tea. And then sometimes I'll just lie in bed and listen to an audiobook if I want to, or some calming music. So take away something that you are going to do, pinky promise to yourself here. I'm just having a look at if Kezy is trying to get hold of me. Kezy, are you trying to get hold of me? I see something come through from you. No, doesn't look like it. Okay, so that's your first practical tip in terms of mood, immunity, and resilience is bed. Right, let's get on to the next tip, which is an O, and that is oxygen. So we absolutely are not moving enough as a human race. In the book, first book that I wrote, it was around sitting, one of the chapters, sorry, sitting is the new smoking. And it is. If you sit for longer than 2 hours, your good cholesterol goes down by 40%. So sitting is the new smoking. I am determined to get people moving because we need to certainly sleep well, but we need to move well as well. So we really should be thinking about exercising first thing in the morning. It boosts your serotonin levels, your dopamine levels, and it keeps you energized throughout the day. I have not met a person during this COVID time who is not suffering from stress. Everybody is. I went for a run this morning with the doctor, and she is just saying, Joni, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I have huge anxiety, lots of fear, lots of apprehension. So exercise first thing in the morning for all the hormonal reasons, and the happiness hormones to your brain is the one reason. But secondly, because of the turmoil and the type of lifestyles we're all leading, is by the end of the day, A, you can be tired, but B, someone's got to speak to you. Someone, if you're a coach, needs coaching. A family member is not in a good way. So people can certainly rob you of your personal time at the end of the day. But guess what? If you set your alarm early enough in the morning, nobody can rob you of that time. So oxygen to the brain is your ring finger. So this is my wedding ring, and this is my promise to myself, is that I'm going to exercise 7 days a week. So a bit like my pinky promise with sleep, it's same time to bed every night, same time to wake up in the morning, because it's a circadian rhythm. That's what happened when we lived in the veldt. We went to sleep as the sun set and it was red. We woke up as the sun came up and it was red. Our bodies love that. Our bodies also are used to walking 10 to 12 kilometers a day. So this is your promise to yourself, is to honor your body. So for those of you who are not crazy like me, who love to run 10 kilometers before work when it's still dark, and don't like going to the gym, many of the gyms in many countries are closed. I think the gyms have opened in Dubai now. But some of you are saying, Joni, I don't like exercise. So how about this? How about your promise to yourself is that you're going to move every hour on the hour. So I have a mini trampoline outside my office, and I get up and I bounce on that. I try, it's not every hour, but I try possibly every 2 hours to bounce for 3 to 5 minutes. So it still gets serotonin to the brain, it gets that dopamine, and it's what I call micro bursts of activity. So some of you are saying to me, Joni, I don't have a trampoline, what do I do? Here's what you could do. Remember, some of your mothers told you, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Well, this oxygen to your brain, you need to plan. So if you don't have a trampoline and you want to just do these micro bursts of activity, this is what you can do, because you need 20 minutes at least of elevated heart rate per day. So what you could do is you could say, right, when I get up in the morning, my routine for most of us is to go straight to that kettle and put the kettle on. Before you have your first sip of tea or coffee, perhaps you go to your lounge floor and you do 7 to 10 minutes of dips off the lounge suite, of star jumps, of plank, of sit-ups, of whatever, 7 to 10 minutes. And then you go back and the reward is your cup of coffee. And then before lunch, you do 7 to 10 minutes. And before dinner, you do 7 to 10 minutes. Nobody can say to me that they can't split that up and do 7 to 10 minutes 3 times a day to get your minimum of 20 minutes of oxygen to your brain. So when we start to have these little triggers in place, we actually just get the stuff done. If you do have a trampoline, the 2 minutes of bouncing on that is equivalent to a 6-minute run, a 10-minute swim, and a 22-minute walk. How do I know that? That is NASA research. Returning astronauts who have atrophy in their muscles get straight onto trampolines to get their muscles to build up again. So why don't you try that? Okay, what else can you do for oxygen to your brain? Because as we're working these crazy hours and we're trying to pivot our businesses and navigate what we're going to do differently, is we need to sometimes just use a good breathing exercise. And I found during my very busy 12, 14-hour days is I just ring fence what I'm doing. And I get oxygen to my brain between some of my projects. I literally sit in my chair here, sit with my back beautifully erect, and I use the 4-7-8 breathing technique. So what is that? It's so jolly simple, but it's so incredibly effective. You breathe in for 4 counts, and I'll do it once with you. So maybe do it, sit up straight. What about we do it twice? Let's really get oxygen to our brains. So we'll do it twice. I'm going to do it quite fast. Let's breathe in for 4 counts. Now hold your breath for 7 counts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathe out slowly through your mouth for 8 counts. Let's do it once more. You now know what you're doing. Let's breathe it in for 4 counts. Just expand that rib cage and that belly. Hold for 7 counts. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathe out as loud as you can. For 8 counts. So that really diminishes your stress and in turn improves your mood. And if you, like me, at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, you look at your to-do list and you go, golly, golly, gosh, how am I going to get all of that done today? Is I literally stand up, I stretch, and I do this standing up. And then I take a look at my to-do list and I think, right, Joni, you can prioritize that. That can wait for tomorrow. That can be done by someone else. You can delegate that, etc. So it's a very good way of really energizing your brain and helping you prioritize and maybe just lowering that intense cortisol level in your brain. We know that cortisol, unfortunately, also just really eradicates the synapses between those neurons. And of course, then they are not talking to each other. So think about what are you going to do for exercise, and also think about what are you going to do to really make sure that you can lower the cortisol and adrenaline in your system so that you can think clearly. So that's the second finger. We've done pinky promise for sleep, and we've done ring finger, which is all about saying, this is not only my commitment to a significant other, this is my commitment to me. 7 days a week, 20 minutes. So you're writing in your column there, you've got your bed routine, you may have changed something there, but this is your promise to yourself. Okay, we're now going on to the third finger, and in many cultures that is rude, but this is really to yourself, what are you going to do? And this is an EQ conference. So this is all about opening your heart. This is the opposite of the middle finger. This is really, what am I doing to open my heart? So on my desk, I have Plutchik's wheel. And if I asked you to name some of your emotions, I bet you would name 3 or 4 or 5. There are actually about 3,000 emotions that we can name. But Plutchik, as a psychiatrist, put the 8 primary emotions into this magnificent wheel. And if you don't have this on your desk, please just Google Plutchik and this wheel will come up in many forms. So what are the 8 primary emotions for those of you that don't know? Joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, and anticipation. So he's put that in the first outer ring. What he's also done is he said, let's have a look at the opposites. So we've got joy as the opposite of sadness. We've got surprise as the opposite of anticipation, trust, loathing, anger, and fear. So it's really interesting to look at the opposites. And then it's also very, very interesting to look at the combinations. So I was chatting to a youngster the other day about boyfriend issues, etc. And she said to me, she said, I find this interesting, this Plutchik model, because it really just defines love for me. Because love surely is the combination of joy and of trust. And that is that beautiful combination emotion there. If we look at the combination of, let's pick another one. Let's look at optimism, actually. That's a strong emotion. The combination of anticipation and joy. So this really looks at the combinations. It also looks at the intensity. So what I'm doing is I'm very cognizant and intentional around the words that I'm using. Some of you know the term name your emotions to tame them. And I'm very, very aware of the words I'm using in my own self-talk and in talking to others. So when I open my eyes in the morning, I lie there thinking about today. Today I've got a wonderful day speaking to you in Kenya. I'm then speaking to people in United Kingdom, and then speaking to South Africans, and then I might be speaking to America at the University of California, Berkeley. So it's a busy day. And I woke up this morning and I thought, what day is it? Okay, today's Thursday, it's the 2nd, Kenya. I thought about this conference. And then I thought, I wonder what emotion's coming up for me today. And I have to be honest, anticipation came up for me. And anticipation, yes, does lead to vigilance, but also at a lower intensity of that emotion, it's interest. And my anticipation can flick flack both ways. It can flick flack to joy and it can flick flack to anger and annoyance. And I'm very interested in that feeling of anticipation. Sometimes I feel my cortisol is rising too high and I get kind of hyper vigilant, and that's not particularly useful for me. And then I get a bit derogatory with people around me. So it's interesting to name your emotions, because then you do definitely start to tame them. But some of us are not using enough variety in our language. So we call this, in the 6 seconds world, we call it emotional literacy. What is your vocab around your emotions? So you may want to print this out and have it on your desk, have it in your bathroom. We have it in our kitchen as well, so that when we're having discussions as a family, we can also sometimes downplay some of those intense words because they're not really relevant to the situation at hand. So I know with my daughters, they sometimes talk about being in a rage, but they are actually not in a rage. They're slightly annoyed. And then it's intriguing to see them downplay their wording and then change their emotional state. So please, please, in terms of really having a look at what you can manage and opening your heart, Google the Plutchik wheel and download that. Secondly, I find that the ritual that I have in brushing my teeth at night is an important ritual. So I literally, and this again is a trigger for me, is as I pick up my toothbrush, put my toothpaste on, I start to think about these 3 questions. What am I specifically grateful for today? When I say that, that's interesting. The universe is wanting me to echo that, what am I grateful for today? And it's important to think about on a daily basis with specificity, what am I grateful for? So I don't go, I'm grateful for healthy children and my 2 dogs and my husband. I don't do that every day. I certainly am hugely grateful for them, but I'm grateful for some of the robust conversations that I've had. I'm grateful for sometimes some tough feedback that I've had where I think, gee whiz, that's probably quite correct. You know, it was very hard at the time to hear that. But actually, I'm so grateful that that person gave me that specific feedback, because in a particular meeting, maybe I rushed, was too harsh, I did something incorrect, and I got feedback on that. And I'm really grateful that people are finding me approachable to give me that feedback in my team meetings. The second question that I ask myself is, Joni, what do I choose to let go of today? So I know my personality style very well. I deal a lot in the Enneagram world of personality, and I've really been working on my Enneagram style for decades now, 25 years to be specific. And I know that I choose to hang on to things. So if there are things that have upset me during the day, I tend to kind of mushroom that in my brain. And when I look at perspective, and I think, really, Joni, that's only one part of your life. It's not pervasive in all parts of your life. So I use the 6 seconds, the 3 bridges. Is it permanent? Is it temporary? Is it pervasive? Is it isolated? And I really ask myself those questions. Do I need to hang on to that, or can I choose to let it go? And practically, it's quite a beautiful time of the day when you're brushing your teeth at night to go, I'm choosing to let that go for today. And maybe it's still something that I need to address, but I'm cleansing my brain of those emotional hooks before I go to sleep. And then the third thing is I do plant the seed for what's tomorrow wanting to bring for me. So I ask myself, what will bring me joy tomorrow? And it may be a work-related thing. It may be something related to a hobby. It may be a family occasion. It may be a discussion that I'm going to have with a good friend. That we've planned to just have a virtual get-together. So it's really important for me to use that time while I'm brushing my teeth for these 3 rituals. So there are many things you can do, but perhaps you can link it to a trigger, like your bath time, your shower time, or your brushing your teeth time. There's some way of thinking through what is happening in your heart so that you can name it, and then start to self-reflect in different ways. Of course, there are many other ways to open your heart in terms of volunteerism. There are many, many starving people, certainly in South Africa where we live. And there are many of us doing sandwiches and dropping off at food points and etc. So all of those are things that people are doing. But I find that these are some of the things that people are not doing. And hence they are on my slide and as a provocative nudge to you. So we've done this middle finger. Now we're going to get on to this finger. And that is for the S. And I wonder if you can guess what that is. S is for stopping sugar and for starting supplements. So categorically, if you listen to any of the nutritionists, if you watch any of the neuroscience videos, sugar is really toxic. It has 70 different names. Every single thing you buy off your supermarket shelves will have sugar in a different format in it. Our parents did not have sugar in tomato sauce and peanut butter and even bread. So unfortunately, sugar is everywhere. It's 80% of the supermarket food goods that you buy. So you have to read those ingredient lists, and we have to know the damage that sugar is doing in your body and in your system. So sugar raises inflammation. If you have even a cup of tea with sugar in it, or you now have so-called health bar that's got sugar in it, I can tell you right now that your immune system is depleted for up to 7 hours. So you now go to the grocery store, you hold onto the trolley, and guess what? COVID's lurking and your immune system is down. So please, you have got to get rid of any added sugar. It does really reduce how your white blood cells perform and increase inflammation. If you haven't watched the documentary That Sugar Film, it's an old documentary now, it's about 7 years old. Please watch that. I'm watching my time, and we are nearly at the end of my time, so I'm going to start speeding up. But COVID has been fun in our family because we've tried a whole lot of new recipes, and we're just looking at every day what rainbow of food color can we have on our plate. So making sure we've got enough veggies on our plate, enough variety in the fruits that we eat. We always eat in season. The World Health Organization says that you need 7 to 10 helpings of fruit and veggies a day. That's a fist size, 7 to 10. So you need that rainbow. And then supplements, it's on the screen there, but I'm vociferous about taking vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams a day. If I'm feeling a scratchy throat, I take up to 6,000 milligrams a day. Vitamin D is essential, at least 600 units. Zinc, omega-3 if you're not eating fatty fish, oh, that's so funny. And then magnesium if you're battling to go to sleep. So start researching the supplements that your body needs. But the list there that I have of those 6 are 6 that I take every single day of the week. Okay, I wonder what you are imagining the T is. Time for fun. So time for fun. Again, as I said earlier, if you fail to plan for fun, you plan to fail. So what are you doing in your homes during lockdown? Quiz games, dance-a-thons, we've done dress-up themed dinners, we've started new hobbies, we do random acts of kindness in our family. And we've got gratitude cards that are printed, little small ones, where we just give those out to our family members as well. So just think about, what are you doing? I mean, we literally sit on a Sunday with our diaries saying, what are we going to do? Are we going to do a quiz night on Thursday night? Are we going to do a dress-up themed dinner? What are we going to do? And it's a whole lot of fun planning with your family to see what you can do. And then lastly, time for fun is also around self-compassion. So, and compassion for others is an obvious one, but we have a mantra in our family: less judgment, more compassion. We have no idea what people are going through. So if you can be less judgmental and more compassionate, it's truly helpful. And then be more curious, you know, I wonder why he or she is doing that or not doing that or not phoning me back, etc. So be compassionate towards others. Make sure that you plan for these things. Some people need phone calls. What are you doing to really extend that hand of friendship and of love to others in these crazy, crazy times? So to end off now, I am giving you that other nudge to say, there's my email address, there is my website. If you email me what you specifically are going to do for bed, for oxygen to your brain, for opening your heart, for stopping sugar and starting supplements, and for time for fun. So with specificity, how you are going to integrate this into your life,